Good day. Today, I would like to talk a little bit about using two flashes or two lights with a different color temperature. This is something that can happen when you mix different brands or sometimes even within the same brand, as is the case here today with what I'm about to show you. This photo was taken with the Godox SK400 studio head, a small studio head. And the next photo was taken with the exact same camera, exact same settings, the exact same softbox. Everything was exactly the same, but now it's using a speedlight, the TT600, also by Godox. And I think you can easily see that the first shot is kind of magenta, and the second shot looks more greenish. So these two lights are not uh, color matched, so to speak. So this may cause some problems if you want to use these two lights for the same photograph. If you're just using one light, it doesn't matter because you can just white balance. So for instance, let's start with the first shot, and first I will just crop to just the part of the color checker that we are interested in. So by the way, this is raw therapy, and I'm using this software so I can show you this vector scope. So you can see what happens when we white balance. So all these patches, all these little dots correspond to one of these color patches. Excuse me. So for instance, this red patch I think should correspond probably to this little blob. So if you just narrow it down using the crop tool to just this red square, it's this thing here. So all of your colors are just somewhere on this vector scope. So you probably knew this. Sorry. Let's go back to the full size. So all of your colors are somewhere on this vector scope. And then let's white balance. For instance, here on this light gray patch. And you see that all your colors jump into a different position. Not necessarily the right position. For that, you would have to actually color calibrate, which I cannot do in raw therapy, but you can do that using another software. So let me go back to the original state, and you can see that all the colors jump into a slightly different position. So the white balancing is going to just make your neutrals look neutral. So we white balanced on this gray patch, and that's now somewhere right in the middle, no color cast at all. And if you look at your RGB parade, which of course we need all the colors, the red, the green, and the blue are exactly equal. Good, let's go back to the vector scope. Let's get this back to the entire color checker. And let's do the same thing here in the other shot. So let's first of all crop and then white balance on the same patch, of course. And you saw that they were jumping into their position. Let's now flick back and forth between the two images. And you'll see that there's still a little bit of a change in position, but it's not as dramatic. So if you switch off the white balancing between the two shots, I mean, just the original state. So now it's without the white balancing, and you flick back and forth between the images. The difference is, I would say, a little bit more pronounced. So you can see that the first image, everything is shifting towards the magenta. And then if you go to the other image, everything moves up a little bit towards the green. So that's what we already intuitively saw when we were looking at the photo. This looks more of a magenta photo, and this looks more than as a green photo. But as soon as you white balance, some but not all of those differences will be neutralized, and between the two photos you will have a little bit of a difference still, but they're not jumping between the magenta and the green side anymore. They're just jumping a little bit. So for instance, this one here, the yellow patch seems to be more saturated in the first photo. So you can check, I think that's this patch probably. Yeah. So if you then also narrow this one down, I'm sorry, this is going to make the video a little bit too long, but so it is still possible that even though you neutralized or you white balanced or gray balanced, the colors might still not be exactly the same. For that, you would have to do the real color calibration. Okay, but so that's the first point I wanted to say. So even if you have a light that is not, super great in terms of color, if it's only one light, you can deal with it because you can just white balance. But as soon as you want to use both lights in the same scene for the same photo, you run into a problem. And this example is going to be a very simple, I'm not trying to sell you a lens. I'm just going to show you the effect of using two lights of a different color temperature in the same set. So this is a two light setup. So there's some light coming in from the right, there is some light coming in from the left. In this case, this photo was taken with two speedlights, the TT600s from Godox. So they are color matched. And you can see that the color temperature, if you look at the background, for instance, it is the same color. Here it's a bit darker, but that's because of the box, casting a little bit of a shadow there. But in terms of color temperature, this is quite even. In contrast to that, this shot was taken with the SK400 in one softbox, the one standing to the right of the camera, and then the TT600, one of the TT600s in the other softbox to the left of the camera. So now you can see that actually there's something a little bit strange going on. So here you have like a quite pink magenta color cast, and here it's more neutral, perhaps a little bit greenish. So if you look at them side by side, so let's put them up side by side, you can see that here it's kind of even, and here it's colder, I mean more bluish, and here it's more of a pink color cast that you get. So this is the problem that you um, run into if you're mixing these colors. So, sorry, these lights. So if you have two lights, I think it is always a good idea to do a little test upfront to see if they give you the same color temperature or at least roughly the same color temperature. Even if you're using soft boxes made by a different company, or maybe an old softbox and a newer softbox, it is possible that the softbox will also influence the color temperature. And so the problem with the photo on the right is, of course, that this is going to be very difficult to white balance. The one on the left is going to be easy. So maybe we should go back to the original photo. So if you want to white, so right now I'm actually in DarkTable. Sorry, forgot to mention that. But let's white balance just using everything in the scene. So that gives you, this is a bit of a cold rendition, but okay. Perhaps I should just use this photo to, so this is the same photo with the same light setup, but now with a gray card in it. So let me just white balance perhaps on this patch, and then I will copy it over to this photo. There we go. So this is a little bit less cold, uh, quite neutral. The background looks quite neutral. This is not pure white paper. The background is a little bit of a yellowish paper, but it's kind of, it's not like ice cold, super white, bright paper. So let's do the same for the problematic shot. So this is the problematic shot. So you can really see the color cast, the quite heavy color cast here. So if you try and white balance this on this patch and then copy over only the color calibration to this one, you will still see it's not good. So we have this pinkish color here, and this is more of a bluish cast almost. Let's put these side by side for a second. So this one and this one. It's even worse than it was before, I think. So it's more pronounced. So this is really, bugging me a little bit. So this is nice and even. This is almost like a gradient from pink to blue. So this may cause some problems in certain situations. You will be able to deal with this. So if you let's take that one into darkroom in the darkroom here. In some situations, this is salvageable, and inside of DarkTable, you can actually create multiple instances of each of your modules. So one solution would be to create a new color calibration instance and calibrate for the right hand side of the photo, and then for this one separately as well. So you can try that. So for instance, if you start with the first color calibration, and let's say you want to calibrate for the left, and then we will need a mask, or maybe we can try without a mask. Maybe we do need a mask. Let's first create the mask. So it's a drawn mask, and I'm going to use a gradient. This is gonna look really strange. So let's preview the mask. So it's coming in from the left to the right. So it's really affecting the left side of the image. And so you can see for the left side of the image, everything looks good. It's nice and neutral. For the right, it looks horrible, but that's okay, I think. So let's duplicate this instance. There we go. And then this is this is looking really great. Um, but now we will, first of all, I'm going to reverse the polarity of the mask so I don't have to change anything. So right now it's coming in from the right to the left. So that's good. But I also have to calibrate to this part of the image. There we go. It's giving me a warning here, double cat applied, but that's exactly what we wanted to do. So now you have, I think, a nice and even um, color temperature from left to right and right to left. So now if you put them side by side, sorry, these two guys, now it looks really, acceptable. This, of course, is a trick or a solution that works in some cases. If you have like one light coming in from the left, another coming in from the right, you can do something like this. In other cases, you may have to be more creative, or it may not work at all. So you will have to, adapt to the image that you're dealing with. All right, so that's it. I hope this was of some use to you. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And with that, thank you very much for watching and see you the next time. Bye bye.